Hi world, it's about midday, it's Saturday, it's the 7th of May 2016. This is the third in a 12 series set of videos on Mercury retrograde. I'm looking at the third house today and Mercury retrograde in the third house. The third house is the area of the chart that deals with communications of all type, whether it is mental, verbal, written or by physical movement. The third house also deals with immediate environment, neighbourhood, neighbours and siblings. If this current Mercury retrograde is in your third house, then you've got either Pisces or Aquarius rising in your horoscope. So here's my take on Mercury retrograde transiting through the third house. As Mercury stations and starts going retrograde in the third house, so you enter a 3 to 4 week period of relative unreliability, where a lot of people may seem somewhat flaky and promises and appointments just don't seem to get met. It's a time where the need for a more fluid approach to daily routine becomes necessary, and a willingness to just kind of go with the flow is encouraged in order to avoid frustration when things don't work out just when you want them to. You'll have to dance around people to keep things flexible, and other people may become exasperated with your apparent easygoing attitude. So this is a time at the start of the retrograde process of reshuffling everything and becoming more ambivalent about some of the superficially important things in life. As the retrograde process gets underway, all systems of communication will come up for attention. The mind is likely to become very busy, although the risk here is getting caught up in trivialities and missing the big picture. Fretting, worrying, nervousness about irrelevant or insubstantial situations is common, so the need to take time for reflection is important. And it's probably during this Mercury retrograde, if it's in your third house, a good idea to make a list of things that occur to you to be done once the retrograde process is over. Movement, especially at the mechanical level, can be delayed as well. So if you miss a train or miss a bus, or if your car decides that it doesn't want to work as well as normal, don't be too surprised. More haste, less speed is a good description of this overall effect. So watch your speed, especially when driving. If you're going to get a ticket, it'll be during a Mercury retrograde. This is not a good time to buy a new telephone, mobile phone or computer, and there is a good case for updating any antivirus software you're using to make sure that everything's protected. In written or verbal communication, be sure of your facts before expressing them, and don't be scared to ask questions or even to admit that you might be wrong. Remember at all times to use a grammar and spell checker, because if things can go wrong, they will on a Mercury retrograde. Do your best in personal interactions to ensure that you're hearing the other person's viewpoint clearly, because this is the worst transit of all for misunderstandings or miscommunications. On a different note, the third house also has a lot to do with siblings. So if there's any estrangement between you and siblings, then this transit can bring people back together again. Although it can equally signify disagreements and arguments with siblings or people who fulfill that role. This is a great transit for learning non-verbal means of communication or for reshaping old knowledge into new skills or applications. As the Mercury transit through the third house comes to a close, so the confusion of recent weeks begins to dissipate, and you can retrace your steps, filling in holes, ending up with a finished product that has greater meaning and much greater depth and substance than before. The delays and hold-ups of recent weeks should now start fading away, and your interactions with others should regain their tempo, with an added insight born of the reflectivity of recent weeks. Look at what you've learnt during the Mercury retrograde process if it's in your third house, and use it to enhance what you already knew, making the application of the metaphorical foot on the accelerator just that little bit easier. And don't forget to breathe. There you go folks, that's my take on retrograde Mercury in the third house. More later. Have a great day. Void moon today, till about 5:30 tonight. Then the moon moves into Gemini. whole different energy field starts happening. Have a great day. Bye.